They said her beauty could stop the rain. Men forgot their names when she simply walked by. But what nobody knew was that this very beauty would one day be her ruin. A long, long time ago, in the lush green village of Umuk, where palm trees swayed in the breeze and the river sang to the moon, lived a young woman named Adan. She was the only child of Mama Ezin and Papa Koro, humble farmers who toiled from dawn till dusk. Adan's beauty was the stuff of legends, whispered about for generations. Her skin glowed like morning dew on fresh cocoa leaves. Her smile could melt the coldest hearts, and her eyes, deep, brown, and impossibly bright, could make the strongest man lose his way. But Adan knew she was beautiful, and that, right there, was the problem. Every morning, she would sit before her mirror, a polished calabash her father once bought from a wandering trader. She'd smile at her reflection and whisper, "Who is more beautiful than Adan? No one. Not in Umuk, not in the entire world." Her mother would often plead, "My child, please, help me shell these groundnuts before your father returns from the farm." Adan would sigh with dramatic flair, "Mama, I can't. The smoke and dirt will ruin this face." When the other girls went to the stream to fetch water, Adan stayed behind to oil her perfect skin. When the village women gathered for their communal sweeping, she would be twirling in front of her mirror, humming songs dedicated to her own beauty. At first, the villagers adored her, but that admiration slowly soured into whispers. "She is beautiful," one woman would say, "but her heart is completely empty. She shines on the outside," another would reply, "but inside, she's just hollow." Adan didn't care one bit. She believed she deserved a man who could match her looks, a king, or perhaps even a god. Then came the big market day. The air buzzed with laughter and the delicious smell of roasted yam. Drummers played lively rhythms beneath the giant irko tree. Traders shouted their prices, and children ran about with pure joy. Adan arrived, draped in her finest wrapper, her beads glimmering, her skin glowing like polished gold. Every single head turned. She walked as if she owned the very ground beneath her feet until she bumped squarely into Mama Cheniere, the oldest and most respected woman in all of Umuk. The old woman's basket tumbled, spilling cassava and peppers all over the dusty ground. "Oh, forgive me, my child," Mama Cheniere said softly, bending slowly to pick up her scattered goods. Adan stepped back in disgust. "Do you not have eyes? You've stained my wrapper with your dirty cassava." Gasps rippled through the market. "Adan, she's your elder," someone whispered urgently. But Adan just tossed her head back. "Then she should stay home if she is told to see where she is going." The old woman looked up, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. "Beauty without kindness," she said, her voice clear and steady, "is like a candle without a flame. It gives no light." Then, she raised her wrinkled hands toward the sky. "Adan, may your mirror reveal what your heart truly looks like." The crowd went completely silent. The drums stopped. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. That night, Adan couldn't sleep. Her skin felt strange, hot, and unbearably itchy. At dawn, she ran to her mirror and let out a blood-curdling scream. Her reflection was gone. All she saw was darkness, a void where her face should have been. "Papa, Mama," she cried out in terror. "My face. I can't see my face." Her mother ran in, her face a mask of horror. Adan's legendary beauty had vanished. Her once radiant skin was now dull and scarred. Her beautiful hair had fallen out in clumps. Her lips were cracked and her eyes, once so bright, were now pale and lifeless. The villagers murmured amongst themselves, "The curse is real." Mama Cheniere's words never fail. Adan hid herself away for weeks. The mirror she once worshipped now filled her with absolute terror. Then one evening, a stranger arrived in the village, a man named Obizi. He was poor, his face was scarred, and he was blind in one eye. His clothes were tattered, and he smelled of the earth like unwashed yam peels. But his heart, as she would soon learn, was gentle. He approached Adan's hut and said, "The old woman sent me. The curse will only break when you learn to see beauty beyond what the eyes can find." Adan wept bitter tears. "You mean, I must marry you?" Obizi nodded slowly. "Not just marry me. You must learn to love me, truly." The village erupted in laughter when they were wed. Adan and the ugly man. The children would tease as they passed. But for the first time in her life, Adan stayed silent. Days turned into weeks. She cooked for him. She fetched water, and she listened to his stories. He was patient, wise, and incredibly kind, everything she had never been. Slowly, painstakingly, she began to see something she had never noticed before, a kind of beauty that lived in words, in gentle actions, in the warmth of a good heart. One day, Obisi fell gravely ill. Adan stayed by his side day and night, feeding him broth, praying for his recovery, and wiping the sweat from his forehead. For the very first time in her life, she cried not for her own lost face, but for someone else's pain. That night, she dreamed of Mama Cheniere, who was glowing like the full moon. "My daughter," the old woman said softly, "your beauty has returned because your heart has finally learned to see." When Adan woke the next morning, she ran to her mirror and gasped. Her reflection was back. Her beauty had returned, but it was different now. It was brighter, purer, gentler. The villagers couldn't believe their eyes. "Adan is beautiful again," they shouted. But this time, Adan didn't boast. She smiled humbly, reaching out to hold Obisi's hand. When asked how she broke the curse, she said simply, "I stopped looking at myself, and I started seeing others." Her true beauty wasn't just on her skin anymore. It now radiated from within, a light that could never be extinguished. Thank you so much for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales that make you think. See you next time.